Hello everybody, this is Direfon here, with a little bit of a different look. Wow, my glasses really are reflecting my screen. Oh well, I guess I'm gonna have to get used to that. This is a very jank setup I have for you all today, so bear with me while I try and do this the correct way. This is a very menu backend heavy update. However, I'm so excited for what this will bring for the game to come. So let's get into it. A little bit of a transition difference. Most of the menus got a redesign change. That way they aren't as boring visual detail as I had before. It's still, I don't know if I'm gonna keep this. It seems a little busy in the background, but I like the turquoise and silver mix here. It does feel very Arizona to me, and it adds some nice blue. So just as an example, I haven't gotten around to editing everything, as this kind of indicates, but it's a nice little menu change in my opinion. I'll be back. Let's make sure this worked. There we go. Much better. That was a secret menu. A menu that is long in development and probably long forgotten. This is what happens when you work too much on the back end and not see it from the player perspective. The settings all work great, but activating the settings, that's not so good. So, settings. It's the same little turquoise thing. Right now, that actually does a thing, and I didn't think it did. That's good. Master volume actually does a thing. It's on a sliding scale. These buttons, as for right now, do nothing, but I had to spend many hours to figure out that Unity doesn't natively support changing buttons in mid-game, and that I have to update a particular section that isn't updated onto newer versions of Unity, but I had to manually get their code from that into my game, and that's going to mess up a few things, so I haven't done it yet. Look forward to that in the future. I have to mentally prepare for everything breaking in my game before I add that in. Anyway. It's a vast improvement from what there was, being nothing. However, I still have a lot to go. I plan to have more audio control, so specifically, I need to add in music and sound effects, which I'll figure out how to do that eventually. Rebinding of controls and video control options. If you're going to choose windowed, I want you to be able to control the size of the window. A lot of this update, I plan it to be a large stepping stone into what the next few updates are going to look like, especially this next one. To begin with things, we got little NPCs that display a text as you bump into them. I should probably choose something other than new text on the game's release. Look forward to that, but something simple, so that way you don't have to go into a whole dialogue to activate them. Surprisingly, this was the first thing before I got to, like, this guy right here. I got a dialogue tree up and running. I can have a back and forth conversation between NPCs and myself. I should have probably changed what this says beforehand, because it makes no logical sense, because I had no idea what I was doing at the time. However, I'll read it off anyway. We'll see how this goes. Why did it display there, but not in the game? I'm so confused. I didn't change anything. Oh no. A beautiful scene of reds, oranges, and yellows breaks the horizon as the sun rises on your first day in the Arizona desert. Continue. What will happen today, good sir? You think to yourself. You think to yourself. What a wonderful world. I love Louie. Something a little weird, but there's a different ending. See if I can get it. No, you think to yourself is going to be the same thing. Bup. What will happen today? You pee on yourself. You pee on yourself. You like the warm, fuzzy feeling. Such a freak. And then he attacks you! So, when you go down specific dialogue trees, there's a chance for the NPC to aggro to what you say and start fighting you. that is something I want everywhere in my game because that's such a cool mechanic. Pokemon doesn't even have dialogue, like meaningful dialogue, apart from like screens where they talk at you and you can't go back and forth. So I love the option of being able to say your specific things word for word. I'm not getting into that Mass Effect stuff, but word for word. And depending upon what you say to this NPC in a more logical way, not just you pee on yourself and then they get offended that you peed on yourself for some reason, but in a way that angers them story-wise. Maybe they have some background and you stepped a little too far in one direction, and they will start fighting you. I don't need every NPC to start fighting you, but I think it would be amazing if I could do that. Maybe they're just going to be super tame, like, oh, little Timmy sent out his level 1 because I took his balloon kind of deal. But that's still a way to build up the world, and that I desperately want that as any way I can bring you into the world that much more. For NPCs that I don't need to do that for, or feel no need to, I'm gonna have them as that simple NPC that displays a dialogue box beforehand. If they don't have much to say, or they wouldn't have a Pokemon to begin with, why would I build a tree? I could just have them say some flavor text and not have to bring you into the menu to do so. Interestingly, you can still move around as you go through the dialogue, and I'm not sure if I want that. I think I do, because that way you can just walk away from conversation, but maybe I should have like a distance. If you get too far away from the NPC, it cuts off and it stops. But that's something to think about later. That dialogue box option was fantastic, and I'm so glad I have it, because now I didn't think that I'd be able to have NPCs that could aggro to the player, but to me that's such a cool thing to have. Something that Pokemon would never be able to actually code in and keep their generic formula. It'd be more story-based, which is kind of what I'm going for here. I added a new chime and animation to the well whenever you use it. That way it's not just sitting there and you're going like, I don't know if it worked. And there isn't a dialogue box popping up saying, hey, you did a thing. I'd prefer to have some animation going on. That way you know when your Apacies is healed. Civil. Okay. Let's see what kind of nature you have. Vicicle. So I'm going to capture you and I'm going to call you Snowball. Welcome to the team, Snowball. I've got names up and running. It's fantastic. So they actually have names that stick around with them, and you're able to see them in every menu. So Talented Snowball the Vicicle. You can kind of see the naming scheme that I was really trying to do all along. But it's nice to have the variants and being able to personalize your different Apacies. Okay, let's go get some healing. That's gonna definitely need to be addressed. Oh, Vicicle at 8 health? No wonder, jeez. Jeez, Manetti. So let's go ahead and level up Myriad. And you can see the next thing that I worked on is the level up moves have been moved so that you can see the different effects that those moves have. Because I had that same effect for the moves that it already knows, I don't want you to have to learn every move because I coded in like 600 or so. I don't need you to remember all of those. I want you to be able to look up what they do and whether or not you want them as part of a team. Yes, Pokemon have specific moves that they learn in order, and those are the cheat moves that you learn for 1 point each. So those will be a reoccurrence, especially if you stick to a particular Apacies. But when it comes to these two, it's going to be a lot more random based off the typing of that Apacies, and entirely random. So this one could be fantastic. It could be utter trash for the kind of build you're going for. So I want you to know what kind of trash you're getting into. Once you learn 6 moves, there is a replacement menu where all 6 moves that you know and the one that you don't pop up, and then you click whichever one you don't want. So it's not just random chance or it'll get rid of one move. Nah, you can choose now. On a little bit of a sadder note, I'm sorry, Snowball. You don't belong in the desert. You're gonna melt anyway. Go live your best life, King. Yes, I'm sure. So you can release your Apacies. Right now there's no like out of party mechanic. There's no ranch or a Pokebox that you could keep your Apacies in. You're stuck with 5. And I kinda like that. In Pokemon, it's a lot about collecting. That is one of the main draws. The original tagline was "Gotta catch 'em all." It's a huge part of the story to go out of your way and find every single creature. My game is less about that and more about the world that these creatures inhabit instead of just being in. So I don't want the entire capturing to be a problem. I might have a mechanic after you beat the game where you can store and collect every single one. That could be an interesting compromise. That way you experience the story and then you can go off collecting every creature. But that does kind of feel like I'm padding the game a little bit, so yeah, I'll figure it out. But let me know in the comments below. Because I do generally think that keeping it to 5 is going to help build up that team. Help me balance the game a little bit better, especially once I actually put in real experience levels. That's what we have for the game today. So I'm gonna leave the next update for next week's video. I plan on going through a whole what I plan for the rest of Apacies, what I plan on each release until the end of Apacies for the next video. I've got a rough idea of what that should be. There's obviously going to be changes, things I didn't account for. Mechanics I did not intend, because mechanic creep is super fun. Like this dialogue, I didn't think you could make people attack, but oh boy was I excited for that. Please let me know anything you have in the comments below. I shall see you hopefully next week. Enjoy the game as it is. It is still very rough, but you can have some pretty good fun with it either way. If you would like to support the project, I would very much appreciate it. It would give me more time to fix said bugs and to hopefully crank out releases that are more polished. Thank you for all of your help. Hope you have a good day.